of this stuff, as you might be able to tell by the title and all that stuff. This is the L'Oreal Colorista hair makeup, and Lori, for time and time again, people want different colored hair, but maybe you work in a professional environment that doesn't allow you to have fun colors, so if you want to have it for specific occasions, it can't be permanent. Maybe you just don't want to put in the money at a professional salon, or maybe you're like me and you've had your hair damaged so many times from actually getting color done and it doesn't seem worth it. Every time I see people with real fun colors in their actual hair, it's very muted, it's not very opaque, and the prettiness only really lasts for maybe 4 days before it starts to fade and look awful and grow out almost immediately. It's like when you're actually trying to grow your hair out, nothing happens. When you're trying to maintain something, it grows like that. And I just don't. So I prefer wigs. But maybe you're not a person who wants to invest in wigs, so you go for temporary hair color. Now, L'Oreal has been known for a lot of things. They used to have the L'Oreal Color Pulse, which was a mousse formula that was temporary. It lasted anywhere from 5 to 7 days. You put it in your hair in like a mousse or a gel and let it set, and then it would calm down. Well, now what they've come out with, I believe this was released 2 years ago. It's 2020, so I want to say 2018 was when I first saw these on the shelves. Don't quote me on that, though. I will make a little annotation for the correctness of that, but that's just off the top of my head. And they do have this Colorista hair makeup in there's stuff for brunettes, which is what I have because I have darker hair. I have what I consider walnut colored hair in real life. And then they have stuff for blondes that are a lot more pastel, a lot brighter colors. These are a lot more bold, intense colors. So the two that I have are in raspberry number 10 and purple number 50. There is also a teal and a cobalt blue in the brunette range, and then there is a peony or peony, however you pronounce that word, and a lavender lilac color for people with more blonde hair. So one thing about this is it's very self-explanatory. It comes in these tubes, and it's roughly $7 for these tubes. It might be a little more or a little less depending on what drugstore you go to, but I paid around $7 for each of these. You get a whole fluid ounce in each one, which goes a really long way unless you have long hair and you want to cover your entire head. But this is supposed to be for giving you ombres, for just using your tips, just getting a couple strips and strands in there, and it's a temporary hair color. This I find to be more effective than chalk hair color. This can be used on wet or dry hair. The instructions originally say starting out with dry hair, but there's also an option specifically for straight hair if you want to use it wet and get a lighter distribution. This also claims that you don't need gloves. You only don't need gloves because it's not a massive chemical like bleach or ammonia or anything like regular box hair dyes have, but you are getting color all over your hands. So depending on what your level of comfort with getting your hands dirty is, you may want to wear gloves. And you also want to make sure that I'm wearing a shirt that I don't care about, or you have some sort of a covering or towel around your hair, because while this is still in the process of getting put on your hair before it dries down, it will transfer all over the place. A couple cautionary things. If you want really deep directions for this, you actually have to destroy your box because the main instructions are in the box, which I'm sure helps on paper reduction, makes the packaging a lot more worthwhile, but that is just a little thing to note. So if you're sitting there going, it does tell you that right on the top though, that's where they're printed. But otherwise it's pretty self-explanatory. You can use a hair dryer and curling iron on them after you give it some downtime to dry, which is only a few minutes, not a long time. It will be more transfer resistant, and it does say transfer resistant on it on the back. It's transfer resistant, intermixable covers, no gloves required. It's mostly transfer resistant. Don't get caught in the rain with this. You're not going to want to go swimming with this in your hair. Avoid pool and beach parties with this unless you're planning on absolutely not going anywhere near the water in those situations, because it will come out. It comes out as soon as you wash it. As soon as you get into the shower or tub, it will start to immediately come out. And this does leave your hair, it does give you a warning that it does have a different feel to it. Your hair is not going to be soft and wonderful depending on how much color you put in your hair. It does give you a little guide. The lighter your hair is, obviously, the more bold and bright the color is. And it does give tentative warnings. They're covering their bases that the lighter your hair is, this shade might last longer on your hair. But because it is this temporary washout stuff, they presume that you understand that it's temporary. This is not a long-term thing unless you want to continuously. So we're tangle-free. Sorry, I just got some distressing news, but I want to finish my video. Need the distraction. But I'm going to go ahead and just take a bigger section of hair. I'm going to use my middle section for my braids, which is the way I wear my hair most of the time. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't look the mess that I feel. Anywho, I'm going to use the raspberry on this side and the purple on the other side. Like I said, this is in a tube. You squeeze it out onto your hands. It looks just like a typical cream or lotion. And what I like to do, it says to use a dime-sized amount, but the more you use, the more thick and noticeable the colors. So as you can see, if we put it up here, there's almost, it really only gets noticed when it's in the light. Where it's really thick, it's going to get noticed a lot more. And the more you use, obviously the more noticeable it's going to be, and the longer it's going to take to actually dry. And because this is on brunette hair, which it's made for, it's going to show up better than one of the pastel colors would, but it is still going to be a much more muted color. So if you're looking for super bright opacity, you're probably looking to go over the same spots several times. If you have shorter hair, you obviously won't have to go to the lengths that I do. And it's just a simple application. Your hair does feel a little bit more thick. It's like if you're using a standard hairspray, I would say. Brush through and separated. Purple, same kind of deal. There is a little bit of, I don't know if it's just for these colors, but there is some shimmer. It's not quite glitter, it's just a shimmer that it does have going on. So as you can see, that color is, the darker the color in darker colored hair, the less it's going to show up. And it's really going to be more noticeable when the light starts catching it more and stuff like that. Oh, I don't want that. Just so that if I didn't make this clear, this is sitting on top of your hair, so this is not So if you want it on the underneath, you're going to have to place it there. This does not saturate the hair. As you can see, like underneath there, there's no color. You can brush or comb this through to get a more even distribution, but as I said, that will make the color less noticeable and less opaque. So if you're really looking for opacity, you're looking to put down some seriously heavy color and spend a little extra time doing this than maybe you would otherwise. Of course, considering the amount of time it takes to even use box dye, it's probably about the same amount of time, just a little bit different color coverage and stuff. And as you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but it does transfer until it dries down. This side is already mostly dry, but not completely. So I'm going to go ahead and get my, there we go. For some of the strands where maybe the color actually ended up on the back once I did the braid, I did reapply individual thickness colors. I did the same thing over here. And with this one, as you can see, it comes up a little bit, but this is mostly dry. And you are going to get the feeling of heavy hairspray in the areas, especially in the areas where it's a lot more thick, as opposed to where there's just a little bit. And I don't know if I got any actually on me, but it does come off. And as I said, there is a little bit of a glitter effect when you first put it on, and on my hands you might be able to see that a little more effectively. But once it's actually on your hair, you're not really going to get a glitter effect, but in real life there is a bit of a shine to it from that, but it's not going, so if you're worried about seeing shimmery particles in the cream, just be aware that it does not come off as glittery in real life. It comes off as shiny, glossy, but it is a mess, and if you get it wet, it will immediately come off of your hair and onto the rest of you. I really didn't get too much on, well, I got some on me over here a little bit. I don't even know if you'll be able to see that little smudge. But you do want to be aware that if you are putting it all over your hair and brushing it through, that it does come off. So if you don't wear gloves, you are going to have to deal with that situation. Overall, I really do like this. I think you get a lot of color for the price. Like I said, depending on what your opacity needs are, this really is just based on the picture and how it has it on the side and the instructions and everything. This is not made to be an all-over color. This is for giving some random highlights, making the ends of your hair different, giving some color strips as opposed to the whole day color. And it does say right on the thing, 4 tips and strands, 1 day color. So if you are trying to use this as more of an all-over color, that's on you, and you're going to end up using the whole tub or maybe multiple of the tubs to get that. But this hair, and it's called hair makeup. I really enjoy this. It seems to come through with everything. It covers his bases. Pretty straightforward. Squeeze some on your hand, run it through your hair. More explicit instructions are on the inside. You can style your hair afterwards with this, but do be aware that you want to make sure that you want to leave it for at least 20 minutes to make sure it's fully dry and set before doing that, or you are going to get the color on your tools, just to be aware of. And that is what I have for this video. So I rather like this little temporary color situation. If you have a temporary hair color that you really like, please let me know. If there's anything else you'd like to know about these that maybe I didn't cover in the video, leave me a comment and let me know, and I will see you all when I'm not distressed, hopefully, next time. Bye.